Have you ever had that one tip that just works like an absolute charm, and out of nowhere you start to play your best golf, and a couple weeks go by, then it just evaporates out of thin air? I know I have before, and my client Mike here as well, he has had that happen to him too. And what was happening for him, and I think it's probably happening for you, is that the body was not moving correctly at the time of impact. And what that would result in is chunks and thins and a lot of shots offline. So today we're going to bring you through a really simple process for you that I think is going to completely transform your game. Well, now my client Mike, like, he was not a beginner golfer. He really practices hard, and I bet you do too. And I could see the frustration that he was going through. And towards the end of the lesson, about 45 minutes in, he really started to click, and he was absolutely elated, completely happy with what he was doing because his body started to learn what he needs to do through the hitting zone. And I get it, you're frustrated, you probably are putting a lot of time into this game, a lot of money into this game. My goal for you today is just to completely alleviate that with some really simple to follow tips that I think will mean all the difference for your game. I want to say thank you so much for watching this. Please subscribe below. I also have a 40-page free guide for you, and it's really just a simple guide to get you started on the right track. You watching these videos means the world to me, so thank you so much. Don't mind now, I'm going to bring you through a really simple 3-step process that's going to help you really understand the most important thing to really getting that quality strike and hitting it in the center of the face, having it fly straight at your target, right? So, what do tour pros look like at impact? So they come through the ball, right? First off, they start here, and then they're here by the moment of impact, right? And the shaft is leaning forward, the lead arm is nice and strong, and they're off of their back foot, and they're starting to sway towards the target. And I really do think that look right there versus the classic amateur look of looking like this at the moment of impact is the main difference between your swing and a professional swing. So with Mike, we had him work on this really simple process of getting him to that stage where he felt like he was flushing it every time. And it came down to changing his stance, and then the 2 drills I'm going to show you in a little bit to get you feeling like you're really on that lead side, okay? So the first thing I'm going to do with my stance here is setting up to it and just getting my hip orientation right when it comes to where it is in relation to the target. So imagine my target is this way. I'm going to set up to it here, get the feet nicely under the shoulders with a little bit of knee flex, tuck the bum, okay? And then the main thing I'm going to do here is going to push my weight forward in my setup. So what I'm feeling on my lead side is 60%, getting that 60% feeling, 40% on my back foot, and that is just my reminder that I need to get here at the moment of impact, right? So to just give you some real world examples, right? What we're trying to feel when we're batting a baseball, right? Imagine that is more like this, right? You're obviously pushing forward, but you're tilting back a little bit more. Where the golf swing, what you need to feel, right, is getting more pressure onto the lead side, okay? So there is a clear difference, right? And what we need to really understand about the golf swing is that the lower body initiates the movement into impact. So that little reminder for you of getting 60% on your lead side, 40% on the back foot is just a good way of feeling you get the pressure forward. And most importantly, the club is going to start to look like this through impact as opposed to here. So I'm going to hit a shot here, keep it really, really simple. And if I'm trying to get someone's strike better to go out and have them play right away, I'm just going to give them the simple tip. Hey Mike, stack it 60% on the lead side and then just play that way all day. Now, one little caveat here I just want to make sure we pick up on is don't do this with the driver. The driver is going to be more 50-50 and tilt back just a little bit and get the shoulder angle down, okay? So here's how I'll do it to make it really simple on myself. Set up to it. Like normal, I've got 50-50 with my weight. I'm going to bump myself forward. So now I'm 60-40, and it feels like my pressure on my trail foot is in a little bit. And I'm just going to try and feel like my lead leg is a kickstand, and I'm going to keep it there. Okay, so that was perfect right there. I felt like I stayed on my lead side, and I felt the pressure, most importantly, in my left foot, okay? So really work hard on that to start. I know it sounds really simple, like just push your weight forward, but it's going to feel awkward, right? And a little thing that you might want to do too is just aiming your body a little more left in your setup to make sure that you make space, because the ball will tend to go out a little more to the right if you're a right-handed golfer, okay? So now the next step for Mike to get the understanding down, this is where the drills are going to come into play. So sorry I've been holding on to this one for you, but I really wanted you to get that first, because to me, if you build the stance correctly, the swing just starts to take care of itself, okay? So what I need to feel at the top of my swing is very important. Now, if you look at Rory McIlroy here on the screen, you're going to see that his weight shifts forward from the top, right? So you see the same thing with Scottie Scheffler here on the screen too. He's getting to the top and is really sliding forward as he comes down from the top to the bottom. And this is the one thing I find that I'm working on with pretty much every amateur I work with, all the way down from a scratch golfer to a 30 handicap. Even my NCAA and professional clients that I work with, we're doing some version of weight transfer training, because it's just in our wiring to want to throw our arms from the top. And it happens a lot under pressure, right? So when you get to the top, I just want to return that back down and almost like meet my hands at the golf ball. But what I really need, and you think about any other sport, you're shifting your lower body and then throwing the upper body from there. And it's like throwing a football, right? Forgive my lefty form here, but I'm going to go shift, right? And then throw it to the receiver in the end zone, okay? So the golf swing operates the same way, and we have to get in our mind what needs to fire first. So this is really just a wiring drill that will help you understand what needs to fire, and it's the step drill. And you've probably seen this step drill before, but it's something that, I do see it online a lot where it seems to be applied incorrectly. And I noticed when I started applying this to my clients from what I had learned online, and then from the certifications I had done, is it wasn't being applied correctly. So I made this slight little adjustment and it made all the difference, okay? And that really just comes down to doing practice swings with it. I don't want you hitting a bunch of balls and trying to get the step drill down, because you're gonna hit it all over the place. You're not gonna feel confident with what you're doing. And then you're gonna start to feel frustrated and you're gonna wanna go back to square one. So the step drill, the way I'm gonna do it is I'm gonna do 2 practice swings and then hit the ball. And when I stand over the ball, I'm gonna tell myself, feel it. And I'm gonna say it out loud to start out. And I actually get my clients to do this in a lesson. So I'm behind the ball with my feet. So it looks like this, right there. And I'm gonna step right here, and then I'm gonna complete my swing. So it'll look like this. Step, swing. I'm gonna do a little faster. Step, swing. I'm watching myself in my big mirror here. And I'm gonna tell myself, feel what I just did, and kind of push forward a little bit more, and then let it go from there. Okay, and I'm nicely on that lead side. That felt good. That felt like, I got here first, and then the arms flung out in front of me. And, it even felt like it came out of the center of the face. It was nice and straight. My launch monitor told me it was a really nice shot right there. So that's number one drill, is I want you to do step drills every day. Like do 10, do 20, do 30, do as many as you possibly can, and just do them as practice swings, okay? So the final drill I'm gonna give you, and again, it's not a crazy fancy drill, but again, you're gonna do it a little bit differently than how it's typically applied, and that is a pause or a low drill at the top. I like to call it a low drill. I don't like a pause drill, sorry Ben Kruper. I like thinking about more of a load as opposed to a static pause. I noticed when I started coaching, I would give people the pause drill. It was like 7 years ago. And there was too much, you lost the athleticism when you tried to really just freeze it at the top. I almost think of like a slingshot, right? You're loading, and then letting it go from there. Now, what you're gonna do is as you're loading it, okay, so this is very important. I want you to pay really close attention here. As you're loading it, you're gonna start to fall towards the target. So it'll look like this. To the top, load, and then fall. And again, I'll get my clients to say this out loud so they can really get an understanding of it. Load, and then fall. And it almost feels like I'm falling into the shot a little bit, okay? And it's a very subtle move. Like, you look at Scottie Scheffler, he's got about 9 to 10 inches of pelvis shift from the top of his swing to his finish. That's a lot. We maybe don't need that much, but if we can get like 5 or 6, again, I don't want to bore you with the numbers, you don't need much to do this. So it's just a little gentle fall towards the target, okay? And a good way to do it would be to get against a wall and then feel like you kind of push into it a little bit. And you don't even really need a club to do that. You can work on it every day. So here's how I'm gonna do it. Again, I'm gonna do my practice swing, get to the top, fall, and then swing. And I'm really just letting it load and fall, and then go. And then tell myself to simply feel it, let it happen. I'm not trying to force it. Okay, again, that felt very nice. That felt like I was on my lead side before my hands had the time to come to the ball. So that's it today. I want you to keep it very, very simple. Just do the drills. Don't go looking at everything to do with weight transfer, because I think that could hurt you in the long run. But what I can guarantee is you're going to start to hit it more solid. You're going to hit it more straighter, and most importantly, the chunks and the fins are just going to start to evaporate, and you're going to stand over on a par 3. Think about this: 130 yards over a lake. You got a pitching wedge in your hand, and you feel confident you can actually get it over that without thinking about the water because you know your contact is really sharp. Thanks so much for following along today. If you have any comments or feedback, please leave it below. I love making videos for you and just helping you get better. My big thing is, I'm a student of the game. Although I do a ton of lessons and I'm a coach, I'm always trying to learn and get a little bit better. And I love to learn about what you're struggling with in your swing.